The challenge in a data center today is what do you do in terms of efficiency? As you saw, the computer manufacturers are working on what they can do in isolation with a PC piece of equipment. What we are very much focused on is a lot of losses generated getting power to the computer. And the DC technology allows us to reduce that consumption of power or losses as you go from the utility grid all the way down to the computer power supply. So that's the solution. Can we take less space? Can we save some money on the capital investments? And can we provide energy efficiency? So these are the three key themes that we believe the data center customers will see the value. So lower energy efficiency between 10 to 12%, lower capital costs, upfront costs when you install the equipment between 15 and 20, and a space reduction of between 25 and 30% for the equipment, because less equipment space you need for power, more equipment space you have for the IT infrastructure. When you take a look at the renewable sources, they tend to be generated far away from where people are. So ABB, with its HVDC technology for transmission, is very much focused on an efficient way to transfer the renewable energy, whether it's wind or whether in the future it's today offshore wind. When the distances increase that the power has to be transmitted, HVDC tends to become much more efficient and much more cost-effective way of transferring power. That's what ABB is providing. You saw the orders we got, quite a few $1 billion in the last few years, from offshore wind connection to onshore. But that also holds true for a lot of large solar installations, wind installations, and HVDC can be a very competitive and a compelling commercial value to the customers. It can transmit a lot of power through a very small window of transmission corridor. Why did DC not come on the portfolio? Partly because it involves energy savings becoming a key criteria. In the data center business, even today, reliability, as you heard from Franz, security is still the main criteria for putting up a data center and the cost of the data center. As energy, as you saw Dr. Wiggins mention, it's becoming 50-60% of the operating cost. As the focus of the industry shifts to energy efficiency, that's when the DC technology has its real strengths. Space savings, energy savings, capital investment savings. Because still, today and into the future, still for some time to come, the biggest cost of a data center will still be the equipment, the IT equipment, and the physical infrastructure. So as efficiency becomes a bigger part of the equation, the operating costs become a bigger issue, DC becomes a more viable option. And it's a conservative industry. So it's going to take the customers some time to adopt what they think is new, but from an ABB point of view, we've been doing for decades. I mean, you can imagine DC technology. If you look at an automobile, that's electric, it's DC. Look at a computer, it's DC. You look at a solar panel, it's DC. Look at lighting, LED, it's DC. So more and more, what people consume, use, work with is powered by DC. So there is a natural transformation or convergence to power being generated by DC and power being consumed in DC. So in that environment, ABB can play roles in many dimensions. One is on the automobile side. We provide charging equipment, you saw in the video, that's DC. We provide DC data centers. We are taking a look at DC to propel ships or aircraft carriers to have DC power distribution, because again it's more efficient, less space, high reliability, less components. So DC is going to permeate many applications, starting from high voltage DC 50 years ago, down all the way down to the computer and the car in the future. We see needs in all geographies. So we have active pursuits and active discussions with customers in, for example, in China, in Asia, rest of Asia, a few pursuits there, quite a few pursuits here in Europe. And we already announced our relationship with IO to provide a containerized DC solution at the end of this year in the US market. So all three key geographies we're focused on. The Italian market for DC, for data centers, is something that's evolving. We see some opportunities clearly in Italy, especially with the growth of social media. And Italians like to communication and conversation is a big part of the culture there, then that growth will result in data centers being put into Italy. Because power is pretty reasonable in cost-wise in Italy. With the solar generation, we have a lot of renewable power in Italy that's being generated today. So it's an ideal place to put data centers. And we see some customers putting data centers in Italy. The economic environment is perhaps not showing the full potential of data centers in Italy today.